Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you can talk.
Okay, so it's a good day to everyone. I don't know what time of day it is, but it's a pleasure to see so many people. The screen is full. I can't add on any more people. So lucky you got in early. And we're here to talk about a special guy, Isaac Botbol, who had incredibly many talents. One, he was bilingual. He could speak Spanish, and I never knew what he was saying. He was musical. He could sing. He could lead the services. He was a playwright. He did the Purim play, a most brilliant play that had people bursting at the laughing at their seams. They were so hard to contain them. He was hardworking. He worked like a beaver. He was very hardworking. He never stopped working. And he was a lover, and Roll, don't worry. He was really a big lover, a man of love. He loved Judaism. He loved Israel, and he loved his wife, Rachel. That's what I mean by him being a lover. Now, it's, for me, I've mentioned the main highlights, but that's not me. It's not for me today. All I have to do is be the MC and allow people to share their wonderful thoughts of Isaac. It is being recorded, so the recording will be available for those people that can't be here. And Rabbi Roden was the rabbi for Rachel and for Isaac. And Rabbi Roden, please, would you go forward and lead us?
My time. Okay, Ivan, thank you very much. It's wow, modern day technology. Maybe it's not so modern day, but to see Mrs. Botbol, to see all the cover over here, Jackson, it's a wonderful thing. And one of the things that Gullah said, we're spread apart. So we take opportunities like this to get closer and closer to each other. It's interesting that it speaks about if you had a choice between going to a base Avel, which is the home of a mourner, or to go to a party, which would you choose to do? You can only do one. Which would you choose to do? So Koheles deals with that question, and very definitively says, Tovel lechas el beis Avel. It's better to go to a base Avel. It's better to go to a mourner's house than it is to go to a party. And the question is why? How can it be so definitive? Each one has its own advantage. A person going to a party having a good time. The food is great. You have music over there, camaraderie. That's wonderful. That's nice. Beis Avel, okay, you see what's going to happen. It brings home the idea that nobody lives forever. So why is it that a person better go to Beis Avel?
I think it.
So
Very good. Thanks.
So the answer, so what would be the answer to that question? So my Rosh Hashiva said very nicely. He said as follows: that when a person goes to a base Mishnah, to a party, it's nice, but the clock strikes 12 and it's time for people to go home. And they realize that doesn't last.
You don't have a phone charger, do you?
If a person goes to a base Avel, it hammers home an idea. And that idea that life is very tenuous and very fragile. Nobody lives forever. And consequently, we should make the most of this most precious gift of being able, that a God gives us, is to allocate for us that certain time. There's no room for pettiness. There's no room for arguments. There's no room for machlokas, because at the end of the day, nobody lives forever. And everybody should take the most and get the most out of an experience when dealing with a person who's a mourner and lost a loved one. On both sides, to a certain extent, we all lost a loved one. We lost Isaac. I got to know Isaac for the many years that we were together in Shul. But I especially came to know him on a personal basis when we would go walk home together. Before the Rebbitzin and I moved close to the Shul, we lived in Hunter's Ridge, 2.5 miles away from the Shul. And Isaac and Mrs. Botbol, you can help me. Moscow, you lived on Moscow, I believe, which was it was 2 miles away. What we would do is Isaac and I, we'd go ahead and we'd walk home and talk about very many different subjects. It's interesting when you get to walking together. He's a very intelligent person, and he wanted to know truth. He was the seeker of truth. And he always liked to ask questions about Yiddishkeit and how to become a better Jew and a better person. As Ivan said, was very talented. I mean, we didn't have a band, a Jewish band here, and he said he's going to do a band called Shalom. It was so nice to go ahead and to be a lively music. He was very talented on his trumpet, and he was a very wonderful singer. And I remember, Mrs. Botbol, you were there also part of the make sure it wasn't too loud or too little. And the two of you worked so nicely together. Being together was a wonderful, wonderful thing. As Ivan said, sometimes I would try to calm him down and say, listen, Isaac, I don't think it's going to work what you want to do. But he said, no, he's perseverance. If he thought it was something that was good, it was good. He was looking through some papers. And so remember this, when he had that over here, I don't know if you can see it so well. Maybe you can. Oh, the Purim play, a dinner theater extravaganza, written and directed by Isaac Botbol. And you should see over here, I won't read all the names, but there's a tremendous amount, many, many names, 20, 25 people that participated, and he directed it. And till today, we remember how Queen Esther, that good old Ivan was Queen Esther. I'm so beautiful. Ivan, I don't know if you should sing it now, that song, but it was something that added to the whole panoply of being able to appreciate who Isaac was and saw what type of individual he was. He was a person that somebody told me interesting that when he was davening, or he made the person made as a chazan, somebody else was davening as a chazan, and Isaac didn't go over to him right away and correct him. He waited, and in private he said, "You know what? I think you should supposed to say this is this is what is right. This is how you're supposed to articulate this word. And it's interesting that bringing all these talents together. We always like to say, and we point out, I think I was speaking last week with Mrs. Botbol, about developing this whole program. You were the one that said, this week's Sedra, Baloscha. What does it speak about? Chatzotros. What are the chatzotros? Trumpets. The trumpet that connected us with a person by the name of Isaac Botbol. So Mirza Hashem, Ivan, you really hit it on the head, all the adjectives you said, characteristics. He was a person that loved. He loved so many different things. He was passionate. He wouldn't sit back. He wanted to see something was right. You couldn't stop him. I tried stopping with the Purim play, and Baruch Hashem, I wasn't even successful. He did a spectacular, marvelous job with that. He was a person that loved his wife. And it's interesting. This is you were together 32 years. And Gematria 32 is Lamed Vet, which is Lev, which is heart. He gave his heart to you. He gave his heart to what he wanted, what he felt passionate about. Mirza Hashem, may we do mitzvahs and may we become better people. And think about him every so often. And because of how he acted and what he did, we should be inspired on our own to do what is right and to help each other out, come closer to our Torah. Yehi Shmei Baruch. May his name be a blessing.
Amen. Okay, Rabbi, is it a time that you want to do Tehillim now?
You'll do it at the end, Ive.
At the end, okay, perfect. So I know a lot of people do want to speak, and I would just like to, the people that have notified me that they want to speak, I'm just going to call you out, and probably the order that I call you out, and you're going to be very upset, but that's okay, because Isaac would like this order. I'm going to call upon Rabbi Pacht, who Isaac loved very, very much. And I think that's a good order to have Rabbi Pacht, and he's a Cohen, to speak first. Thank you, Rabbi. By the way, the speaking is going to be for about 2 to 3 minutes maximum. It ends at exactly, we started at 11 at noon, because we know people have got a long day. So know that we're going to be very deliberate. Rabbi Pacht, we don't have to do that with, because he's very disciplined.
And very brief, as always. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It is important to remind me of the time limit, because there's so much to say. It was I really appreciate this opportunity. It was very difficult for me to be so far away during the time when Isaac was unwell for all those days, and the Petira and the Kavura and the Levaya. And I appreciate this opportunity to be connected with all of these different and diverse people that he obviously impacted so powerfully. When I initially started to think about, something to say, some accolade about Isaac, I'm sensing already from the comments that have been made, it's very hard to pin down one thing. He was so multifaceted, he was so diverse, and almost, depending on who met him and under what circumstances, you could get very different impressions. He could be very tough, he could be very gentle, he could be very serious, he could be very silly. And I was just kind of running through in my head all the different experiences that I had with him. And I was reminded of the following thought that I heard many years ago from a great person. He was commenting on the fact that Chazal tell us that our avos, our forefathers, are known for distinct character traits. Titain emes the Yaakov, Chesed Abraham. We refer to Yaakov Avinu as the man of truth, and Avram Avinu as the man of kindness. Each one of them is known for a distinct midah. And this person asked, how do we understand that? The implication is that if Yaakov Avinu was honest more than his grandfather Abraham, does that mean that Avraham Avinu wasn't always so honest, that he would bend the truth now and then? Was Yaakov not a Baal Chesed? Would he turn down a person in need? How do we understand, when we speak in terms of people who are so great beyond our comprehension, there are more angels greater than angels. And yet, the implication is they only had one area of strength. And the explanation that was given was they had all perfected themselves in all areas, but they all came to it through different character traits. Torah and Midos are a comprehensive tapestry of perfection. And any one strength that a person has can lead him to be strong in all areas of greatness. So if Yaakov's natural midah of greatness was honesty, that would drive him to be more honest in his self-awareness, and more honest in his dealing with others, and more honest in what needs to be done and when it needs to be done, and lead to perfection in all areas. And so too with chesed, if a person is genuinely considerate and kind and empathetic, then they're going to end up being honest as well, and they're going to end up being having integrity as well, and being hardworking as well, because to not do that would be inconsiderate. And it just struck me throughout all the experiences, my memories of Isaac, and all the facets that he had, I really feel that he was a person of tremendous ehrlichkeit. I struggle to come up with an accurate English word that encapsulates that concept. A person of integrity, a person of genuine moral compass. If it was right, he was all in. And if it was wrong, he was all out. And yeah, in that sense, if you were interested in doing something that was a little shady, he was tough as nails, and he could be very aggressive. But if you were in need, or you had an idea that was positive and ehrlich and genuine, he was the greatest friend and greatest supporter and greatest sympathizer and empathizer. And I really feel like that was just a consistent theme that drove him. And I was always so impressed how he and I have very, very different backgrounds, and yet we connected. He reached out to me. We developed a friendship. It was Freudian slip. I should say he developed a friendship. He was really the better friend, and he made me be a better friend, and he made me feel like the friendship was valued. And like I said, I felt that he was a person who, without having my background, or without having some of the opportunities that I had to learn what's right, to be trained in what's right, he just had that moral compass that was unerring. It was undeterred from seeking what should be done, what's the right thing to do, not intimidated by obstacles, not intimidated by opposition, and really someone that I found very inspiring to know and to be around, and will be very much missed. Yizichro Baruch.
I know that I said, I don't want you to get concerned, anyone, with the fact that I said that Isaac was a lover, and I have to continue with that lover. He really did love his daughters. And I know that if I were to call upon the daughters to speak, I would probably fall over, because I'm not meant to call them to speak. But I did want to mention that the love of his daughters, it could not been more. And in particular, his grandchildren, Jonah and Rebecca. And he absolutely loved them. And between Darren and that, so I just want to mention that I've already taken somebody's spot, but that's not what I wanted to do. Joel Tyrog is a very fine friend, and he is in Jerusalem. And he asked if he could please be front of line because he wants to go and speak to Hashem. I think it's davening time almost. So, Joel, if you wouldn't mind taking your 2 minutes, please.
Mute. Thank you, Ivan. Yeah, I could reinforce much of what's been said. I just want to mention one thing. I told Rachel this at Shiva, and I think I might have mentioned to the rabbi, but I have, I'd say, eternal hakoras atov to Isaac, because in 1994, in my mid-40s, I made a sort of intellectual decision to keep Shabbos and keep Torah. And I woke up one morning after Pesach and walked up the 30 minutes to Ohev. It turned out it was the twins' bar mitzvah that day. And that started my career at Ohev. And in those days, there were basically two chazanim, and Isaac was one of them. And his davening from the Amid had a ruchnius, there was some special quality that as difficult as it became sometimes for me, it kept me coming. It was just there was a quality that I just had never heard before in somebody that in somebody davening from the Amid. I'd heard chazanim, I'd been in choirs, I listened to opera. My sins I should not mention, but there was something very special about his davening, and it was that more than anything, I think, that made me realize there's something very special going on here, and the rest is history, I guess.
Well, thank you. I heard something which I think it goes in line now. I just have to say this because Rabbi Zember told me something really funny. You were sitting in the back of the shul with Isaac. And Ohev Shalom is known for many, many good things, but not for its inability to keep tunes. So Isaac said, in his way, you can just imagine it, you'll probably all smile. He says, we have more keys in Ohev Shalom than Home Depot, which I really think it summarized the moment and gave an idea of his wit. But one of the finer people that's left our community, unfortunately we can see him again today, wanted to speak, and that is Jackson Selesky.
Thank you. I come from a small town in the South and have always been intrigued by who was the first Jew to get to a town that everybody else would say, he brought me here. And I asked Isaac that question, and he told me that his brother came from Morocco, alone, didn't know a soul, was a tailor in Toronto, and for years he saved the money, and finally he raised enough to bring the family from Morocco. And I remember Isaac told me they came on a boat, and he was precise in telling me it was not a cruise ship liner. But anyway, they prospered in Canada, and the rest of that story, the story you know. But I want to flash forward a few years. We had a little evening, and I think it was one of the first things we had in the new social hall honoring Isaac. And here it is. And I made some notes again. And I told the story of how the brother came and he brought everybody and how they did so well in Canada. And Isaac came over to me, and it was over, and almost brusquely said to me, he says, "How did you know about my brother?" And I think he was flabbergasted, but I said, "You told me." And he saw that I had some notes, and he said, "Can I have the notes? I'd like to send them to my brother." And he obviously did. And about a month later, he came back and he said, my brother loved it when I told him the story that was related about him coming from Morocco to Canada and bringing the whole family. But Isaac told me the thing that was best about it is it gave him another chance to thank his brother for all he did for the family. And I just thought that I wanted to share that little story with everybody.
Jackson, very nice. As always, Jackson. And that accent of yours is perfect. It blends in well with all of ours.
With yours. Okay, good.
And now I would like to call upon Darren. Isaac, Darren, and Monique had a very special relationship. And Dad, please go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Ive. This is amazing. You know, as it's interesting what Rabbi Roden said to start, and we're looking through the screen. I'm here with my wife and 3 kids. The screen just doesn't fit everybody. And it's amazing to see it's sort of a tapestry of life. Just fortunate to be here. And, you know, it's a nice way to reframe these opportunities while sad. So I just thought I'd say a few words about Isaac. You know, Zachary and I were just in Israel. We had a chance to go to the grave and spend some time there. And it's given me some chance to think a lot about his life. And one of the things that I've been doing recently is learning Pirkei Avot. And there's a Mishnah that I mentioned in a little Devar Torah that I wrote a few weeks ago, that one can't choose when you live or die, or when you're born and when you die. And certainly Saba Isaac died way too young, but the time he died is, you know, the start of the book of Bamidbar, and we learn about the Jews taking census. And the notion of taking a census in Judaism is not about necessarily counting how many people were left Mitzrayim or in the desert, but it's the concept of the importance of every single individual. And I think that it gave me an opportunity to really think, and others have already said this, but when we think about him, and I think about what he represented, one of the most important things is that there was never ambiguity about truth, and there was never ambiguity about where you stood and what you knew. And in today's world, that's a rare thing in the world and with individuals. The second thing that sort of came to me this week with the Parsha Bahalotzecha, when we learn about the concept of humility in Judaism. And it's interesting that we learn about it from Moshe, where our greatest leader is not necessarily something that many people think of humility. When you think of somebody who accomplished everything that Moshe did and all that he did for the Jewish people. And one of the Divrei Torah that I read on this Parsha says that the concept of humility in Judaism is not about the opposite of egocentrism and self-absorption, but rather the concept of humility is one's desire to put your own needs aside for a greater purpose, for a mission. And when I think about Isaac, I think about that being an incredible facet of who he was. He had a commitment to Israel. He had a commitment to Judaism. He had a commitment to what he did, and he did it in a very understated way. He had a band that left people with memories from their simchas that they'll never forget. He taught hundreds of, probably thousands of Hispanic employees, and he wasn't teaching the upper echelon of management. He was teaching people who worked in factories, and maybe had very few people who actually thought about them. He changed their lives. And when we think about this, I hope it gives us an opportunity to think about what our mission is and what we can do to really find that within us that leaves a mark and leaves a purpose and a mission. And so I'll just end by saying that we should all have the humility, the strength of conviction, the truth, and find our lives with a holy mission and a purpose.
Mate, that's my nephew. Good job.
You taught me well. Thank you. Thank you. I owe you a lot.
Now,
Paul and everybody on this who taught me.
yeah, thank you. I now call upon to break the mold. There are Shoshana Roden. If please, could you say your piece?
Thanks, Ivan. Thank you, everyone. This is just very, very, very special and heartwarming. And Haral and Isaac and the whole family, we go back so many years, decades. When I was 10, Haral gave me my first job. I worked in her little preschool in her garage, and I was a bridesmaid at her wedding to Isaac. And just want to share a couple things about Isaac. Isaac was a man so very talented and gifted. People who crossed his path walked away inspired and uplifted. Dignified and stately, a prince among men, polished and classy, a devoted servant of Hashem. His musical abilities were vast, band instruments and voice. At special occasions, he helped others truly rejoice. He led our shul in tefillah with heartfelt dedication. He added feeling to the holy words, infused with inspiration. His Shabbos table permeated joy filled with divrei Torah. He loved to share spiritual truths related to our Masorah. For knowledge and understanding, he had a real thirst. He loved to learn and was extremely well-versed. His sense of humor was sharp, his lines so very clever. Once you interacted with Isaac, it stuck with you forever. Isaac loved his family so deeply. His love was profound. Rachel, his wife, his queen, he crowned. He loved his family, both immediate and extended. He spoke of them in glowing terms and always complimented. Isaac was a doer. With his actions, he conveyed the way to do things correctly. He consistently displayed. A people's person, Isaac loved his fellow man. He connected to so many and had so many fans. Isaac loved to enlighten and show others the way. Isaac was a teacher every minute of every day. Although he has been called back to Hashem, and from us he is gone, Isaac's lessons and his love and his impacts will live on.
Shoshana, that is special. Not to say anybody else's wasn't, but nothing like that. Don't mean to embarrass anyone, but if I do, that's me. Okay, Rabbi Shaul, you look very distinguished there.
Let me get back. Where am I? Did I get off? Wait, wait.
You are
Can you
there.
hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I thank you, Isaac. That what everyone's been saying is just so very special. I'm thinking about when I first moved up from the South Arab to Ohev Shalom, maybe 18 years ago, maybe. And even prior to me moving, our family moving up north, I remember my son, Akiva's bar mitzvah. Akiva is 45 years old. So you do the math. Isaac, as who someone, I mean, many people have said this already. He was a head of a band. He brought such joy and to the simcha for my son Akiva. I remember Gal's bris. No, was it Gal's bris, or maybe it was their wedding? The wedding was held at your house, was it not, Ivan?
Yeah, it was. The wedding was held.
The wedding was held at your house, and he played in the back, and I forgot the name of somebody played guitar. It was so special. It was so and it was just so wonderful. Just the music can take you to a spiritual place that the words cannot even dream to bring you there. And that's why it's so important in the avoda and the Beis Hamikdash, singing and musical accompaniment brings you to a level that you never dreamed you could be at. So I just know that with Isaac's voice along with his music, he took me there. That's all I wanted to say. And something funny, forgive me for saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sometimes I would give Rabbi Roden would give me an opportunity of saying a Devar Torah at the shul many years ago, and I had this personal shtick with with Isaac. After I would talk, he would say to me, "That was the best damn Devar Torah I ever heard." It was so wonderful. Like every time I would get a chance, he would come to, "That was the best of our tour," but he would use that word. But it was so awesome that he solidified whatever I had to say and made me feel good about that. It just I'm pained that we don't have a person like this anymore in the Ohev Shalom Dalet Amos. You know, I'm sure other people have tried to fill in that void, but no one could do it like Isaac. He was a man among men. He was his avoda, his service to Hashem and his fellow man was up there into the Shemayim, and his memory will definitely be remembered for many more years. And it should be a bracha for all the words that have been sang today. It should be an aliyah for us in the Shema. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Yisrael.
Thank you. We now go to our dear friend Hillel Roden. Okay, I know he's there. Hang in. Hillel?
Can you hear me?
Of course we can hear you. I can't see you though.
There he is.
Oh, there you are. Look at that. Good looking. He's working at
Thank you so
hospital
much.
today, obviously. Thank you.
And, thanks for having me. Thank you, Rabbi Shaul. Beautiful. Everybody spoke's beautiful. Just a couple of things about Isaac. Definitely, I remember it was a wedding at your house. I remember I was nervous to dance with him. He wanted to dance. He wanted to throw me on his shoulders. My mom said she'll give me $1. I would dance with him. And then he threw me up, threw me around. Definitely. Definitely, Isaac, is definitely a staple of Ohev Shalom from the beginning memories. He used to come over, him and Arlene Friday night. We'd bring a 6-pack of Bud Ice. And then he's just always so encouraging and helpful. I remember through my journey through nursing school, he always encouraged me. We had a secret handshake he would do. I can't say the secret handshake, but every time he saw me, he would give me that fist bump, a certain angle and twist. I remember I would just always be schmoozing with him, and I had issues with my coworkers who were trying to convert me to Christianity, and he introduced me to Reb Tovia Singer. He's like, "Don't worry, just listen to this. You'll be able to shoot them all down." And then also he would always joke around. I remember I was in Israel. I don't remember for what. It was years ago, and we would be walking to the Kotel, and he would point out to a Hasidic guy with a Bekasha and a Streimel and Payas, and he would say, "Hello, is that guy? Is he Jewish?" He'd always just have that good sense of humor. Even I remember he would come back to Ohev. He would still do business in America. And I remember talking to him in shul every time, "How you doing, Isaac?" He's like, "I'm good. I'm ready to go back to Israel." He's always he has such a love for Israel. And then these past few trips that Ivan brought me to Israel, we're able to visit with him. I remember especially on Hanukkah, he was he wasn't feeling so well. But he got up, he dragged his breathing machine, and he lit the menorah for us. He said the bracha so beautifully, which is a very, very special moment. And sorry, I already took up a lot of time. I just thank you for including me in this. Definitely will miss Isaac. Thank you, Ivan.
Hillel, you didn't take up a lot of time. By the way, other people who do want to speak, please just let us know. We don't want to eliminate anyone, but I do want someone really special to me. You may guess or you may not guess, and that's my bride, Melanie.
I'm going to talk about Isaac more from when he stayed here, when he and Raylene moved to Israel, and Isaac would still come to Dallas to do work, and he would stay at us. At first, he wouldn't. He'd stay at other places. He didn't want to be a burden to us till we insisted that he has to stay at us. It's absolutely our pleasure. I've never known anyone to work so hard as Isaac. From early in the morning, he was having papers printed and running and doing so that he could give the very best classes. He'd come home, I think around dinner time. We wouldn't see him the entire day. I guess he went to shul first, then the printing, and then the running around wherever he had to go. He'd come back, he'd have dinner here. He was the most appreciative person I've ever come across. Every single time he had dinner with us, he'd thank me, like really from the bottom of his heart. And Isaac knew that I loved French. I've always wanted to be able to speak French, and I still can't. But he would speak to me in French to give me a little bit of practice every now and again. That was so cute. He knew I had always wanted to do ballroom dancing, which I never got to do. He'd show me a few steps. He was an amazing ballroom dancer as well, beside everything else. He was an amazing dancer. And I don't know, I just actually loved seeing when he was at our house, like late at night, he'd actually sit down to watch TV and fall asleep. And I used to love that, to actually see him relax. For the first time, he would just relax and take things easy. And when he stopped coming here, I started missing those times. So I really loved Isaac, and I definitely feel his absence.
Beautiful. The next person I have in line here is Aaron Attar.
Hi. Yeah, so I wanted to share, like, when I was in middle school, early high school, Isaac asked me to help him out with I don't know if anyone knows, he used to run a website called learntopray.com, where people from, I don't even know where, like, it was before e-commerce, before websites were even a thing, people from all over would write in or mail or call, and they would, Isaac prepared like davening tapes where he would, start off davening Shemona Esrei and Shema slowly, and then a little more quickly, enunciating everything very clearly. And people from all across the world, reached out. They wanted to buy a cassette. They wanted to learn how to daven, how to pronounce everything. And, as a kid, yeah, I didn't really appreciate, the impact and, the reach that he had. Well, I was just helping, package tapes and mail them, but like these addresses were from all over the US, and people were really, really, he was able to make an impact on random people, throughout the world. So that's something that I personally keenly remember, that regardless of his skill sets, and he had many. Like, I remember spending Shabbos at y'all's house and in Israel, and I wanted something interesting to read, and he gave me a management book, and that management book just like totally changed my perspective on how to be a good manager, how to be just a good employee, how to be everything. And since then, I've run like at least 4 or 5 book clubs in different companies I've been at with that same book, because of the impact that it's made. And so, yeah, just, only extremely, extremely fond memories, and a lot of inspiration of, no matter which skills of his it was always somehow redirected towards helping others, helping the community, giving back, making everyone around him better than they were.
Aaron, thank you very much. I just feel, though, that you failed to tell Isaac's good friends and family what that book is.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's First Break All the Rules. I have a copy at my house. Happy to lend it to anyone if they want to read it.
You should always break the rules. Is that what it's called?
First Break All the Rules. Yeah, Isaac is definitely a rule breaker, that's for sure.
I now call upon Rabbi Shalom Roden, and then we're looking forward to Lou Kelmanson following that.
Yeah, thank you for this. This is amazing. Seeing some faces I haven't seen in a while. So 2 memories hit me with Isaac. Number one, growing up in Ohev, we're still Ohev, some early days. There weren't many young people, and by default, I had to, being the rabbi's son, I was there every Shabbos. And I remember Isaac so many times. He was so relatable. He connected with me. The comments, the jokes, even though I was 8, 9 years old. It was someone who, he was a friend. He was really, really a friend. And we maintained that relationship for many years after. But that was something that very honest, authentic. And how I get up and speak and give a Torah. That was very good. That wasn't so good. And we just, but obviously for the purpose of just trying to help me and just honest, then someone who wanted to see however he could help me out. And on a second thing that I recall thinking about Isaac is on a lighter note, when we moved from Arapahoe to McCallum, I think it was that time. So I think we had to do it in one day. And it was like a big move for us. And it was my brothers and I, and I'm sure Shoshana and whatever the rest of our family, and a few people from the shul. And Isaac was there from the beginning, the entire day. And he was into it. He was excited. Like, and he would push us. Come on, let's go. And it was such a labor of love that he was doing something, really big, trying to help out the shul. He's a big move for the shul. And it's something that, again, I don't know how, 9, 10 years old, it's so vivid in my mind. So his memory should be a blessing.
Man. Lou comes. Please, by the way, I just don't want to embarrass. If someone wants to speak, please just flag, put up your hand on the Zoom, or you can just text me and we'll fit you in. But here comes our dear friend Lou, and I can see David Roden's next.
Thanks, Ivan. I appreciate it. And Yasha Kok to you, because I think it just goes to show how Isaac had made such an impact in all of our lives, and we do miss him. The way Ivan that Isaac impacted me was a story that I think of him every Shabbos. And it was one Shabbos that he was over while he was working after Ronlene, and Isaac moved to Israel, and he came to our house for Shabbos lunch, and I sang the Kiddush, and to the best of my ability, which I thought. And later, very quietly, he came up to me, just the two of us. He said, "Lou, I want to correct you. One word. You were saying Shabbat v'yinafash, but it's Shabbat, not a bet, but a vet. Shabbat v'yinafash." And I have to say that I appreciate it. I wanted to say it correctly, and I didn't want to say the blessing incorrectly. And I literally think of Isaac every single Shabbos that I say Kiddush in our home. I really appreciate our friendship. We were friends for 30 years. We visited in Israel to Rachel's and Isaac's home, took us around, showed us all the important places in Israel. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up was everyone talked about his incredible music talent. And one thing that always stood out in my mind is the way he would sing Adon Olam. And it was beautiful sound, Adon Olam. And obviously, you all know that tune. I'm not going to go anymore, but it just made it. It was the end of the service. We weren't in a rush to go to Kiddush, and we listened to each and every word. And I just wanted to share those two little stories of how he has impacted us, and may he rest in peace.
Right.
Amen. Okay,
now I think there's, as we said, David Roden. So I want to try and make 2 Davids in a row, if that's okay. David Roden and David Attal. David Roden.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So I really wanted to just mention two quick stories, and it's something that I really think about when I think about Isaac. So I know my dad mentioned in the beginning is Isaac was in charge of the Purim play, and I think I was 10 years old. He gave me a part in the play, and as a 10-year-old, there was practice. I know that there was practices on Sundays, and I didn't go to practice. And I remember he pulled me aside and he said, "David, like, if you make a commitment, you have to show up to practice. And it really was a really good lesson for me, because he really it was like tough love. He was like, I'd love for you to be in the play, but everyone here is for practice, and since you didn't come to practice, like, I don't know if you're going to be in the play. At the end of the day, he let me in the play, and the next year I made sure to come to practice, which it really stuck with me. Is you make a commitment, you have to follow through. Another story was our good friend Eileen Dorfman gave us Stars tickets, and I didn't have anyone to take me to the game. I was very young, so my dad asked Isaac if he can drive me to American Airlines Center, because we only had 2 tickets. And Isaac jumped on the opportunity. It was probably an hour before the game, and he said, absolutely, I'd love to take David. And I remember on the way there, I told Isaac, I'm like, we're going to be late to the game. And he's like, hold on, we're not going to be late to this game. And he got us to American Airlines Center super, super fast. And the entire game, I just remember he was so excited that I was there. It was my first time going to a hockey game. And hockey usually is a low scoring game, and it happened to be an incredible game. I'm pretty sure the score was like 8-1. And he kept on telling me, he's like, David, this is probably the best high scoring game that we'll ever get. And he was just so happy for me that he was able to share that experience. And he kept pumping it up for me. He was like, David, I can't believe we got to go to this game. This game was awesome. It was just from the tough love from before to being the fun almost uncle to me. It was very special.
Thank you, David. Now, I did say David Attar, but he's a Cohen, so I want to leave him for one step a little later. I want to call upon Andrea, Isaac's special daughter, to say a few words.
Maybe I'll say a few things and then I'll leave it to Darren. I don't know how long I can talk for. It's still very fresh. My dad was an amazing person. He taught me so much. And how do you even say all the things that you could say about such an amazing person? I don't know how you could say it all. When I sat Shiva here, I was very nervous about it because no one here knows my dad, and it was a very impersonal experience. I felt. So when I spoke to Rabbi Roden, and he encouraged me, sit Shiva there, it will be okay. And I did, and it was actually easier than I thought, because it was easy to talk about such an amazing person to people who never knew him. He was the ultimate teacher, and I think that was the message that I really passed on to people, that he was just always teaching. Everything was a teaching moment for him, and he was my teacher. He really was. I don't know how I would have grown as a person without him. And he taught me so many things about how to be a better person and a better Jew. He taught me how to pray. He taught Darren how to pray. And our lives are forever changed because of it. The whole direction has been changed. And I don't know how you could express gratitude. I tried to do that when he was alive, and I wish I could continue to do it more, because I just miss him very much.
Yeah, there are 3 themes, I think, from everyone's comments that focus on his life, and I think that
daughter couldn't be
his legacy, and that becomes his legacy.
I know that we're going to have Rabbi Roden with the Tehillim, and I know that we've. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Darren wanted to say a few words.
Okay. Sorry, Darren, please go ahead.
I think if you take, there are 3 threads here that are common themes that summarize not only Isaac's life, but also his legacy as well. His not always perhaps the most open-minded person. Once he had locked in on something he believed in, he was absolutely committed to what he did. And his choice thing in life was his Judaism. And he was ruthlessly committed to his observance and to his teaching of Judaism to the people he was close to. Several people have said the same thing. I also got told off from my bets, and my vet speak backwards when I was learning to read Hebrew. My son Jonah, who is here with us as well, it had to be syllable perfect. And I think that's the second thing is his commitment drove absolute perfection in the things that he chose to do. Also, I think it's if I get the name right, it was Luke who hears Isaac's voice and his Kiddush. Every time he does it at home, every time I go into Shemona Esrei, I hear his teachings. He was gracious enough for me, Aaron, to record not on tape, but on voice recording on my iPhone when I was learning to go through the Siddur. And when I daven Shemona Esrei, I size myself up to, is this syllable perfect? I remember the recording. I feel like I'm experiencing that learning again and again and again. And so there's a beautiful legacy that's left behind. As Andrea said, our lives and our trajectory, excuse me, were entirely changed by his presence and his influence and his inspiration in our lives. And that, I think, is his beautiful legacy that he leaves behind.
Thank you, Darren. Beautiful. And now we go to David Attar.
Can you hear me, Ivan?
Yeah, we can hear you. Beautiful.
I definitely lost one of my best friend, old friend, longtime partner with many, many, many memories, good memories. When we were involved with the Ohev Shalom, and early on, when he encouraged me to say, let's do a Purim Seudah in the shul. And I said, I'm not much of the Purim reading or dancing or anything like that. I'd be glad to do the food, the dinner, or whatever is involved. And he professionally put basically a play together, which we all enjoyed it very much. And then the following year and few more. So many different talents that he carried in his life. So many. I mean, from the teaching of how to daven properly, learn, teaching bits and pieces from different parts. We would sit together in my patio many, many nights. And he taught me so many different things. And of course, his voice and his recording and playing music, unbelievable. I still have his records, basically tapes, literally, that he recorded for the davening and also for his musics. And I don't know how many of you guys know, but when he was coming to state early on, besides staying with Ivan, he had a place in our upstairs unit, which he would come and I would enjoy his company. I never forget. I mean, his generosity with his time, with his talent, his contribution to my family and to the community. I owe him a lot, and I miss him.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I tell you, can I just say something? I know that I said we'd want to keep it in an hour. With your permission, can we just, obviously, if you need to go, you just go. But with your permission, there's a couple of people that want to speak. The rabbi wants to say something, and I know that Rachel wants to say something as well. So we're now going to call upon Sparky. I've wrote in.
Thank you, Ivan. Can you hear me?
We can hear
Good.
you.
Good. First of all, like Shalom said, it's great to see so many old faces. Definitely going back 30 plus years. Like Andrea said, Isaac was, there's so many things to speak about Isaac, but really two things that hit me is his honesty. And Isaac used to always tell me, and he didn't mince word, that I was the best looking rodent. He was not afraid to say that to me. So I do agree with that. That was accurate. So that was step one. But really, number two, that he was an amazing teacher. And, like so many people spoke about today, he was not afraid to find an opportunity to teach a lesson, but also to teach. Many times people give lessons, but as we all know, it's the actions that stick with us. And one story that I remember, Shalom, my brother, that I think somebody was bothering us or was picking on us. And, we were not the tallest fellas. And he knew karate. I don't know if people knew that, but he knew karate well. If he was a black belt, I don't know what he was. So he decided to give us an impromptu karate lesson, Friday night Shabbat dinner. So we go to the table, the guys come, come with me. So we go with him. I think we put on like yellow belts that we found just so that we, knew it. And sure enough, we, he gave us a good few, jump kicks to the stomach, which ultimately, taught us, how to fight. And really was to he didn't just tell us what to do, but he showed us. And it's like everybody said, it's the lessons that we're going to remember with Isaac, and his memory will be with us forever.
Okay, thank you. Did I miss out anyone? Obviously the rabbi, and we've got Rachel. Is that okay? Anyone else? Just squeal or
That's
let us know
perfect.
that.
Perfect.
Good. Okay, thank you. If you could go ahead, David. David Baruch.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
David, could you just introduce yourself? Because I don't know you, or maybe I do, but because you said that you got a very distinguished looking face, but I don't know you.
David Mitchell.
David Mitchell.
David Mitchell.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. What's this Baruch business?
that's my Hebrew name.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what Isaac called me. David Baruch.
Perfect. Sorry, go ahead.
I just have to lay on. I'm very, very sorry to lose Isaac also. What a wonderful guy. I would want to emphasize his generosity, but before I tell that story, I was lucky to be at his wedding to Rylene at the time, Rachel now, at your house, Melanie and Ivan at the pool. And I sang with Michael Allen. So I had sung some with with Isaac as well. So I was lucky to that great, very, very happy occasion that I'll never forget. I was lucky to sing in the choir with him. We sang Yom Kippur one time, and he taught me quite a few things, including Eshes Hayel. Rabbi Rodin once told me, "Do you do Eshes Hayel?" And I said, "No, what's that?" So I did, "What? You don't do Eshes Hayel?" So he said, "Ask Isaac." So Isaac made a tape for me, like we've heard so many stories. And that's how every Friday night I told Rachel, when I sing Eshes Hayel to my wife, my bride, as you like to say, Ivan, I think of Isaac, because he taught me that. Just one other example, he lent me a car for a whole year. We spent a year in Eretz Yisrael, where we live now. But when I came back, we had to spend a year in Dallas. My kids were in Chicago, and I needed a car. I thought I was going to have to rent a car or buy a car. He'd know, so here, use my car. He gave me a car for free for a whole year. It was a brown Civic. So that was just one example of his enormous heart and generosity. So much love to everybody. Nice to hear all you folks. Hi.
I did. Thank you, David Baruch. David Mitchell. Okay, so really just an incredible round. The only thing that I wanted to mention as well, besides, is that he was very generous. Isaac, no matter what, asked to give. If he didn't, he just gave. And I've always been a great lover myself now of people that are generous, and that he was. We had a great relationship, a wicked relationship. We used to laugh a lot and tease each other a lot. I definitely was his favorite brother-in-law. And having said that, I now turn to to Rachel. Rabbi Rachel. Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
Hello.
What do I need to do? Okay,
You need to speak. You're doing great.
Okay, well, this is it's quite overwhelming. Really, all I want to do, I want to just thank everybody for the magnificent words, for your time to come and spend a few, with us, with me, for Andrea, for all our family, for the entire Canadian family. It's so heartwarming and very emotional, and it's something that we need, something that I don't think we will ever forget. Thank you to all of you for the effort that you've made and the magnificent things you said about my darling Yitzhak, who I miss so much. I also want to say thank you at this time for everybody who's been learning for Yitzhak. I know in Dallas, at the yeshiva in Dallas, they've been learning for him before he passed away, and I think it's continuing. Learning for Yitzhak. In Israel, it's just overwhelming. All the yeshivas in Kiryat Sefer, in Tel Aviv, in Petach Tikva, in so many parts of Eretz Israel, little boys, 8-year-old boy, the little boy Ari, has been taking toffees to school for the entire month since Yitzchak passed away, and giving it to the children, and they've all been saying Tehillim in his memory. Mishnayot, in day and night, thousands of Mishnayot being said in Kiryat Sefer, and Beitar Elite, Ilan Berkovich organized his classes to daven for our Yitzchak, Tehillim and Mishnayot. And I don't know who, and my entire Bleebound family, the grandmother, grandmother Rachel, and all the Bleebound family, mother and father and uncles and aunts in Tel Aviv have been davening all the time ever since Isaac has been sick up until now. My friend Ronit, her shul has been, they have all been davening for him, and it just goes on and on. So this is the most heartwarming thing for me, and I'm sure for all the family to know that so many people are davening for him and care for him so much, and his neshama should have an aliyah. Thank you, Ivan, and everyone else, Liati, for helping put this program together, to Rabbi Roden and Henny. Thank you for everything. All my heart, you've always been such a huge part of our lives, and you will continue to be, that's for sure. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Now, Rabbi Ron's going to take it to the end, and I do believe with all of us, the loss of Isaac has been great. And at the same time, we wish that Yitzhak Amram ben Avraham, Neshama, should have an aliyah. But when the rabbi says Tehillim, let's also have in mind one of Isaac's greatest loves was for the Jewish people. And so the Tehillim should also be in mind for the Chayalim and for the people of Israel. Rabbi Roden.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Before I speak, there's one more person, Ivan.
Oh, sorry.
The Rebbitzin.
Ah, sorry. Yes, I would have thought that. I was wondering where she was.
I think we're frozen. Do you hear us?
No, you're not frozen. On our side, you're warm. It's very hot here.
Hey, well, what can I say? I'm going to start off with my dear friend, Rachel. We go way back. I'll never forget when I met Rachel. I felt her.
Sorry, forgive me, but your video is off.
Ah, you see?
Yeah, that's right. From your side, it seems it's frozen.
How about this?
Looking good. Coming together.
Let's try it. How about this?
Mazel tov. Yes, very nice.
Anyway, I want to just start off with saying about my dear friend, Raul. I didn't think I could speak because I get emotional, but I'm going to try. And I'll limit it to 2 minutes, hopefully. So Raul and I, my dear friend Raul, who I'll be forever a dear friend of hers, she was like my best friend here in Dallas when I was very much alone in the beginning years. I remember asking a question if I had a Gentile to the left and a Gentile to the right. Very nice people. But, you know, I felt I needed a Jewish friend. And thank God Hashem sent me Rolling, because she really was my dear friend. And, but of course, we're talking about Isaac. I was so happy when she met Isaac because she's such a giving person. And I didn't want her to live her life alone because she's so giving. And I wanted her to marry. And thank God she met Isaac. I don't know if you know the story. They were both in Israel. She was changing a tire and he came by and he helped her change the tire. Rolling did anything. Whatever she was asked to do, she did, even change a tire. Anyway, Isaac, one word that I can think about it with Isaac is he was practical. He was practical. Rolling and I went into a little business called Homemade Specialties. Akiva Academy approached us. We really need healthy, nutritious meals for our children, the students. And of course, Rolly and I accepted, and we worked at Akiva Academy together, and we loved it. We loved preparing food for the children. Isaac took care of the business part of it, and getting back to being practical, he says, you know, the kids love your lunches, and they're delicious, but you're not making any money. You're we're not making any money. I said, really? I don't know. A lot of children are buying from us. And we realized, you know, especially good to Neshama Roll, if she saw a child with a lunch that looked a little meager, she decided, and we agreed to just give the lunch for free. Like, and this went on for a while, and we saw other children. Anyway, to make long story short, Isaac sat down with us and says, look, are you in business? If you're in business, you've got to make money. And otherwise, okay, you're basically feeding the children. So that's what I would sum up Isaac. He was practical, and so many people said such beautiful things about Isaac, and we will miss him. And Ron, we are with you, Rachel. We're here for you, and you're such a beautiful person to me and to the family. I'm very proud of my children who spoke, and his neshama should have an aliyah.
Amen.
Okay, one of the goals of this show is to be like one big family. And then what we just experienced now, and hear the different stories, how Isaac helped others and how others help Isaac, how we help each other. I think that's part of the mission. And I think Baruch Hashem, we're well on the way, and we just have to strengthen ourselves to even take to the next level. I can go ahead and say Kapitel Tehillim, Zecher Ili Nishmas, that Yitzchak Amram ben Avraham should have Ili Nishmaso, and also there should go ahead and there should be peace in Eretz Yisrael. The hostages should be returned safely, and we should know of the coming of the Mashiach in Rabbi Yamin.
Amen.
Sham alos. My mama Kim Krasicha Adonai. Adonai Shema v'koli tieno aznecha kashavos l'kol tachanunai. Im avanos tishmor ya Adonai mi amod. Im chahas licha l'man tibarei. Tivisi Adonai kivsa nafshi v'lid baro hacholti. Nafshi l'Adonai mishamim laboker shamim laboker. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai kim Adonai ches v'arbei mofedus. V'hu yivtes Yisrael mikol avonosov. And we get together in happy occasions, everything should go well. And Amir Hashem, it's a beautiful Kiddush Hashem when one Jew helps out another Jew. Yehei Shmo Baruch, may Isaac's name be blessed.
Amen. Everyone, thank you very, very much. It really made a big difference that each one of you were here. Recording will be available. If you are interested, let us know.
Thank you, Ivan.
I don't think there's going to be a charge, or is there? I think it was worth.
What would Isaac say?
What would Isaac say?
Practical. We could get the budget for the show, $1,000 per recording. Seems good. Have a wonderful week, Shavuot Tov. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for putting us
Thank
together.
you.